Hi, my name is Amy Ballou, and I'm going to walk you through A3P. A3P is a new game that CAPTRS is launching. It is a game that invites participants who are evaluating a threat to walk through an assessment process, an alignment process, and then an activation process. And so that's where the name A3P comes from. It's about assessing, aligning, and then activating. And this allows public health professionals or epidemiologists or other experts to integrate different information about a threat, uh, evolve their assessment of that threat, and then discuss with their collaborators in their small group about what levels of the threat, and then go through the similar process for aligning on what level of activation is needed, and then facilitate a discussion about what does activation look like given this unique threat that is posed. So the version we're going to walk you through today is the analog version. So here I have one of the boards. The materials, the cards, and the tokens come in these nicely packaged boxes. But in order to make it easier for you to see here on the screen, we're going to look through at a digital version of this analog game. All right. All right. So here we have the setup for A3P. The first thing I would like you to look at is the triangle. When you assess the level of threat or the level of activation needed, in E3P, a very unique cognitive experience for the player is that you're there, the game is not asking you to have a discrete answer. It asks you to assess where your current belief is in an uncertain space. And so, as you see on the triangle here, there is at the bottom a low threat, in the upper left a medium threat, and the upper right a high threat. So a player might say, well, based on the knowledge that I have and the information I've been given, I think that this is very likely to be a medium threat. I mean, we're going to have to do some things, but we're not going to pull all the levers. And I'm pretty sure, so it's going to be up here in this space somewhere. Or a player might say, listen, this could be a very, very serious threat, in which case it would be up here. Or I may say it might be either, I am equally possible that it is a really high threat or that it's going to be nothing. This is one of those moments of boring interrupted by stark terror. So this would be, you would place here. So the players will place their tokens anywhere in the triangle representing the current state of their belief, recognizing that there is always uncertainty. So the in this game, people would divide up into small groups, and then the facilitator would read the scenario in the context to give the players baseline understanding of the situation and what their role is. And then the players would go through a series of 12 injects. And you see these cards over here. We'll pull one up and then we'll flip it. And again, this would be physical cards that a group would be playing with. I'm just using these digital ones as an example. So the first card, the person would say, okay, where's your read? Because there's a report that has to do with healthcare. And in the three affected cities, weekly pediatric hospital admissions for infection-related complications have increased over the last 3 weeks from 12 to 10 per 100,000 children under 12. So that player would then integrate their own knowledge. They would integrate the knowledge that they have on the timeline and from the scenario they heard, and they could look at the map. Then they would say, all right, that was the first card, season one. So then they would place their token. They might say, I really think that this is probably not that big of a deal now, right? Because it's a time, maybe they think it's the time of year when this would have happened anyway. And then they pull the second card and we did. All right. So an additional piece of information, primary schools under age 12 are seeing elevated student absenteeism. Work environments are not reporting elevated absenteeism, and this is in Grayland. Okay, so something's going on with the pediatric population, so I'm going to take token two, and I might say, okay, no, I'm a little more worried. This is a pediatric issue. And I won't walk you through everything, but you can see that the player would keep flipping cards and doing, and then placing their tokens. And they can see how their assessment changes as they move through the 12 items. Now, in addition, and then after this, they'll go through and they'll do this for a similar thing, but with three different points on the triangle, which are no activation, partial activation, and full activation. Another nice feature of this is we have a support app. And so if an organization wants to run this with a large group of people, they can have people enter the data. So people are able to sit and interact with each other, but then you can also enter the data. And as you can see here, you can so I'm gonna go here, say, okay, I'm going to expand. I'm going to say, well, here the player one entered their data, such as this. And they ultimately said that the answer, they thought it was a medium threat, and they were pretty confident in that, et cetera. And you go through that for all the players. But then you can go and look at some analytics and say, okay, where were people thinking that the final assessments, which cards, which pieces of information most strongly affected perspectives? It also allows activation. You can see where the groups came to consensus, where individual assessments were. And then you can have discussions where you could say, okay, well, what has triggered an activation? And people can enter responses. And so then the sponsoring organization can capture those pieces of information for evaluating plans, updating plans, and particularly around new threats. And so that is A3P. Would love to run you through any demos that would be helpful for you. And I look forward to chatting with you about A3P in the future. Thank you so much.